Alright, so today we're going to be talking about the Marvel Legends Haslab Giant Man. Now before you get all worked up, I just want you to know that I am team back this motherfucker all day, every day. I think this thing is super dope, but there are pros and cons that I want to talk about. Now I wasn't around for the Engine of Vengeance days. I didn't have my YouTube set up, so I couldn't state my opinion, at least publicly. But we're going to forget about that ever happening, and we're going to focus on the Giant Man, of course. Now, like I said, I think this thing is super cool. $200 for a 24-inch figure? Man, nowadays you can barely buy a Wave of Legends for $200. So personally, I think the $200 price tag is worth it, but the question is it worth it to you? I think the majority of us can agree that $200 is a pretty reasonable price. Now, of course, we know Hasbro's not making this for $199.99. They're making profit. They could have possibly made it cheaper. They could have added in a Wasp figure, could have done something to make a little bit more of a value, but the general public and the general stasis is that we all think $200 is a pretty reasonable price. I'm pretty happy with the price point. I buy import figures for $100 all day. So, a 24-inch figure for $200, though I don't want to spend it, I think it's worth it. Now, if it's worth it to you, that's your opinion. Now, I think the head sculpts are super cool, especially the zombie and the scroll head sculpts. Now, I was a huge Marvel Zombies kid. That kind of got me back into reading Marvel comics. I was probably 12, 13 at the time when that run came out, and it was, man, Giant Man was a cold motherfucker. He was a cold motherfucker. So to see them dipping their toes back into the zombie stuff, even though technically this is a what if Giant Man, I still think it's pretty cool, and I really, really hope to see them step into comic book Marvel Zombies. Man, that'd be a dream come true. Even though I don't have no room for them, I would love to see them at least make them. I'd still probably buy them. But this is where things get a little iffy, and I'm not trying to sound like a complainer or unappreciative, because like I said, I do think these things are really cool, but for me personally, they're kind of useless. I'm never gonna use a Marvel Zombies head unless they give us the classic Marvel Zombies, and I'm never gonna use the scroll head because I don't collect scrolls. And that's opinionated. Of course there's people out there that collect the scrolls and the zombies, but for me, they're just gonna stay in a bin or in a package, and that's gonna be their entire life. So there was other things that I think that the collectors were expecting, but we'll talk about those in a minute. Right now I want to stay on the subject of the head sculpts. Now I do really like these head sculpts. They're not bad at all, but for me, this is a tough opinion, and I know people are gonna hate this. For me, I think the Toy Biz head sculpt is better. Now, personally, I like the statuesque comic realization in my action figure. There's something about these new age Hasbro figures that kind of got a cartoonish feel to them. It's that's not my adaptation of the character. There's it feels like a kid's toy or something. It all kind of feels like the same artist is doing this, and they're just slight tweaks and slight variations of the same head sculpts. I'm not really a big fan of that. I really like the feel of somebody took a big sculpture and shrunk it down and put it on an action figure. That's my favorite cup of tea, and that's why I end up customizing pretty much everything that I get from Hasbro. Again though, this is all subjective. This is my opinion, and especially when it comes to aesthetics and everything matching one another, I understand how you'd want to toss your old Toy Biz and put in this one because the aesthetics don't quite match. And even for me personally, that's why man, I was kind of hoping that this Haslab wasn't gonna be as fire as it was, because I was hoping that I could keep my Toy Biz Giant Man in there somehow and I didn't have to buy this. Oh, but man, this thing is too good. I have to do it. Now, people talk about the faceplate technology and all this. I don't really have that much of a beef with the faceplates. The one thing I think that is kind of weird is how the outside mask is sculpted in a certain way to when you put the faceplates in, the brows are always gonna stay the same. So when you put that smiling head in, it just kind of looks like an evil smirk because he's got those snarling brows. But that's not really to fault towards the technology. That just kind of is what it is, you know. And that might be a factor behind why I like the Toy Biz one better. But I'm not knocking the new one either, because I do think it's cool. I'm just saying I might need to get somebody to 3D render and blow up the old Toy Biz head for me. Anyways, I don't really want to make this video sound like a nitpicking video, like I'm just griping the whole time. So I'm sorry, but we have to discuss anatomy. Now, this is more of a whole Marvel Legends line in general, not just the Giant Man, but kind of a reply to the Anthony's Custom Giant Man video, to where he shows the Photoshop renders of just making slight tweaks. It has nothing to do with the budget, everything to do with the sculptor and whoever's sculpting these things. Now, if you just take a quick look at this thing, I didn't even notice it, but when you dig a little deeper, you can kind of tell it's a little bit wonky, man. The shoulders are too low, not big enough. Head's too big, the hands are too big. It's just simple tweaks that could make these things low end to high end, and we're paying we're paying a high end price point nowadays. We need to get MCU quality into the comic book figures. And to be honest, who's even buying MCU? It's the comic book supporters that are making this entire line run. Why are we getting the shit into the stick? Anyways, it's pretty obvious. Just taking a slight bit more dedication to the comic book figures. I'm not saying it justifies the $27.99 price point, but it would make it a little more sweet. Alright, so we're gonna move into, we're done with the gripes, we're done with all that. Now we're just gonna talk about the wish list. And there's really only two things, personally, in my opinion, that I wish came with this. But we'll talk about the fan stuff first. We were all expecting kind of the evolution of Giant Man. We're kind of expecting a regular size 6-inch Giant Man, a mini Giant Man, a halfway Giant Man. We were kind of all expecting that. I'm not too bummed on that, but what I am kind of bummed about is at least give us a little hand clip effect with Wasp in it. I was really hoping we got that little finger with Wasp flying off of it. That's all I really needed in the accessory kit, just to have that little Wasp in my Avengers display. Have the big old Giant Man, have the little Wasp flying out of his hand, just like the comic book cover. Now, I want to talk about stuff that would really improve the quality of these figures. Now, this next one is kind of just free game. If the Hasbro team is listening, here you go. Here's an idea for you. I really wish that they did like a growing Giant Man on just like the cardboard backing. Something that you could just cut out the effect yourself. Now, of course, in acrylic, like a whole dedicated accessory, that would have been really cool too. But we know that there's no more unlocked tiers in this. This is what we're getting. If we could only utilize that cardboard that comes with each Marvel Legends figure. Make cool stuff with that cardboard print. We're throwing this stuff away anyways. I know me personally, I'm not a mint in box collector. Majority of us are not mint in box collectors. We just toss the stuff anyways. Now on that little inside lining cardboard piece, there's so much room to do whatever, and we're just throwing it away. If we could just print little word bubbles, little, just anything and everything that you could possibly think of, anything neat that you could think of. Another free game idea, and this is one that I've been wanting to meet y'all in person to tell y'all this idea, but we're gonna tell the whole internet right here and right now. You know how back in the day when Toy Biz would give you the whole comic book that has to do with the character? Boom, check this out. On that little cardboard backing, y'all put a little 112 comic book on there that has to do with that character. And then we personally, the fans, could just cut it out, and guess what? We got a little 112 comic book, and it was free. It's free to everybody. Come on, man. Boom, think smart. That's really all I got to say about this Giant Man for the time being. Just free game, a little, just talking shit, just going on a rant. I ain't never really done these videos on here before, but I figured now was the perfect time to talk shit about some Giant Man. Again, I just want y'all to know, I really do like this project a lot. I'm backing it. I think you should back it too. I want it to get fully funded. $200, it's a little steep, but in this economy, $200 is like $20. So, can't wait to get this thing in hand. I really am excited to see what those eyes look like. I'm really just, I forgot about a huge thing that I wanted to talk about, which is the plastic quality on those fingers. I am really hoping that we don't get none of that distressed tight joints on those fingers. Y'all gotta be very careful with the QC on those fingers. You know how you get a new Legends and the joint's kind of stuck and you can tell when you're moving it, it's kind of warping the plastic underneath? I'm really hoping that those fingers don't come out like that. Maybe some WD-40 on that before y'all pop those in there. Just super careful with those fingers. I'm worried about the swivel on them. Also, there's one more thing I want to talk about before we wrap this up. And I don't want to be like a in your face, told you so. But if the Engine of Vengeance would have funded at $350, this would have not have been $200. Now there's no telling what else we would have got with this for however much the price point would have been, since they're really playing it safe with this. But use your brain, think smart. If the Engine of Vengeance would have funded for $350, guarantee you this Giant Man would not be $200. That's it. But other than that, I don't got nothing to say about this Giant Man. I've said it all already. I think it's super cool. Can't wait to get it in hand. I hope it backs. I'm gonna back it. I can only back one at the time because, like I said, I don't even know what I would use two for. But this thing, super cool. Go out and back it. If you don't back it, that's okay. I hope you enjoy the Toy Biz one, because those are the only ones we're gonna get for a long time. So, without any further ado, I hope you found this video informative. I hope it inspires you to do something, create something, do good, be good, stay hydrated, eat your fruits and vegetables. Whoop, whoop.